Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. What were you doing when you were 16? Maybe studying hard for exams, dreaming of your future. But Liu Yuning, the man now stealing hearts as Wei Xiao in The Prisoner of Beauty, was sleeping on a cold floor, covered in bed bug bites, struggling to survive in a strange city. Today, let's dive into the extraordinary story of Liu Yuning, a man who went from hardship and poverty to becoming one of the brightest rising stars in Chinese entertainment. Liu Yuning wasn't born into the spotlight. He was born into silence, loss, and loneliness. He entered the world in Dandong, a small city tucked away in China's northeastern Liaoning province. While the city might be quiet and scenic, Liu's early life was anything but peaceful. When he was just 4 years old, tragedy struck. His father passed away. The world, as he knew it, fell apart before he even understood what family truly meant. Not long after, his mother remarried, a decision that would change the trajectory of his childhood. With a new life ahead of her, she left little Liu in the care of his aging grandparents. And just like that, Liu Yuning became one of millions of children in China growing up as a left-behind child, a term used to describe kids raised by relatives while their parents move away to seek better lives. But unlike many others, Liu wasn't just emotionally alone. He also bore the weight of financial hardship. As early as elementary school, he began helping his grandparents sell corn on the streets. Imagine that. A little boy, barely tall enough to see over the cart, standing in the freezing wind or under the scorching summer sun, calling out to strangers, hoping someone would buy just one more ear of corn. Life wasn't kind. While other children laughed and played at school, Liu often found himself the target of ridicule and bullying. His clothes weren't fancy, his shoes were worn, and his story, the boy with no father and a mother who left, made him an easy target for cruel classmates. But he never fought back. He bottled it all up, silently enduring the isolation. But here's the remarkable thing. Instead of growing bitter, Liu grew stronger. He didn't allow the pain to define him. If anything, those early years built the foundation of his unshakable resilience, a quality that would later carry him through the darkest moments of his young adult life. He once said in an interview that he remembered watching kids his age go home to warm meals and loving families, while he would return to a cold room and quiet grandparents who were doing their best but had little to give. He often felt invisible, unimportant, forgotten. Yet even in that loneliness, he held on to something: music. Sometimes, while walking home from school, he would hum melodies under his breath. He said it helped him feel like he wasn't completely alone. And in those small, quiet moments, the seed of his dream was planted. No one knew it then, not his teachers, not his bullies, not even his grandparents, but the little boy selling corn on the streets of Dandong would one day stand on massive stages, his voice touching millions. But to get there, the journey had just begun. At the age when most teenagers are worrying about grades, crushes, and fitting in at school, Liu Yuning was fighting for something much more basic: survival. By the time he turned 16, life in his hometown had become too heavy to bear. With little money, no real family stability, and no clear future, Liu made a bold, almost unthinkable decision. He packed a small bag and left Dandong, heading south to Shenzhen, one of China's most fast-paced and unforgiving cities. He had no plan. No support. No place to stay. He just knew one thing: he couldn't stay where he was. Arriving in Shenzhen, Liu was greeted not by opportunity, but by cold concrete floors and biting loneliness. With no relatives to rely on, he rented the cheapest room he could find. A dark, cramped space with no bed, no mattress, no comfort. Every night, he lay on the hard floor, wrapping himself in thin sheets as bed bugs left his skin dotted with painful bites. And yet, he never gave up. During the day, Liu hustled. He took whatever work he could find: waiter, restaurant helper, clothing shop assistant. Sometimes he worked 2 or 3 jobs just to afford his next meal. He washed dishes until his hands cracked. He carried boxes until his back ached. He smiled for customers even when his stomach growled from hunger. But those were the good days. There were days when jobs didn't come. Days when all he had to eat was a cheap bun and some water. Nights when the cold seeped through his clothes and made his bones hurt. And one day it got worse, he fell ill. Fever, chills, exhaustion, his body was giving up. Too poor to afford a hospital visit, he lay on the floor, shivering and alone, thinking it might be the end. But then something miraculous happened. A kind restaurant owner, one of his former bosses, found out and gave him money for treatment. It wasn't just an act of kindness. It was a lifeline. With that small act of generosity, Liu bounced back. He used the money not only to recover but to reflect. He knew he couldn't live this way forever. So he enrolled in a vocational school to study culinary arts, a practical skill that could help him get steady work. But even as he studied and worked, another dream kept burning inside him, the dream of music. Late at night, after long shifts in hot kitchens or folding shirts in a store, Liu would listen to songs on his phone. He imagined himself singing, performing, sharing his story through music. It seemed impossible, but something inside told him to hold on. Because deep down he knew this struggle was just the first act of his story. And the world hadn't even heard his voice yet. When the world turns its back on you, you either break or you find something to hold on to. For Liu Yuning, that something was music. Even in his darkest days, broke, exhausted, and sleeping on cold floors, Liu never let go of the one thing that made him feel alive. Music wasn't just a hobby. It was his lifeline. Every moment he could steal away from work or school, Liu would be listening to music through cheap earphones, studying melodies, mimicking vocal techniques, and dreaming of a life where he wasn't invisible, where his voice was heard, where the stage had his name on it. He knew he didn't have the looks of a typical idol. He had no formal vocal training, and absolutely no connections in the industry. But he had pain. He had soul. And most importantly, he had perseverance. In 2010, he took his first big step toward the spotlight. He auditioned for the popular talent show Superboy, Kailer Nansung, on Hunan TV, a platform that had launched many stars. But his journey ended before it really began. He was eliminated during the early rounds. It stung badly. But instead of giving up, Liu told himself, if they won't open the door for me, I'll build my own stage. 4 years later, in 2014, he did exactly that. He formed a band with a few friends. They called themselves Modern Brothers, Modeng Shongdi. They weren't glamorous. They weren't signed to a big label. But they had a microphone, a camera, and a quiet corner of the internet. At first, they sang covers on a live streaming platform called YY Live. There were few viewers. No lights. No audience. Just Liu sitting on a plastic chair, pouring his heart out into every note. 4 years the grind continued, streaming every day, singing in all weather, facing online hate, technical glitches, and disappointment. While others gave up, Liu kept showing up. Rain or shine, he sang like millions were watching, even when it was just a handful of fans in the chat. Then came 2018. A simple video, Liu singing a soulful cover of a hit pop song, went viral on Douyin, China's TikTok. Within days it had over 8 million likes. People were mesmerized by his voice, raw, emotional, unforgettable. Suddenly, Liu Yuning was no longer just a struggling singer on a live stream. He became an overnight internet sensation. Crowds began gathering in Dandong to watch him perform in person. Fans filled the streets. His name trended on social media. His band became famous. And offers from entertainment agencies started pouring in. But even with fame knocking, Liu stayed cautious. He knew how easily the industry could chew up and spit out fresh faces. So instead of chasing quick money, he took his time, choosing the right path, learning the business, and preparing for something bigger. His voice had finally found an audience. But this was only the beginning. The boy who once sang to survive was now singing to inspire. From internet sensation to professional singer. From live stream singer to professional artist, Liu Yuning gradually made a name for himself by singing OSTs for films and TV dramas. But he didn't stop at singing. Acting, carving his own path. Without formal acting training or industry connections, Liu stepped into acting with small roles. He appeared in Hot-Blooded Youth 2019 and played the mysterious He Yin Jing in Ultimate Note 2020. Thanks to his real-life struggles, He brought an emotional depth to his performances that few actors can match. Breakthrough, the defining role in The Long Ballad. In 2021, Liu's role as Hao Du in The Long Ballad became his breakout moment. The historical drama starring Doraba Dilmurat and Leo Wu told the story of an exiled princess and her loyal guard. Liu portrayed the guard's emotional transformation beautifully. His performance caught the attention of audiences and industry alike, propelling him to leading roles. A shining career with no shortcuts. Liu Yuning's success is remarkable. No elite art school, no powerful connections, just pure passion and relentless hard work. From small supporting parts to starring roles in hits like A Journey to Love, The Legend of Jewelry, and currently The Prisoner of Beauty, Liu has become one of the most popular young actors in China. Closing thoughts, inspiration beyond fame. Liu Yuning's story isn't just about fame. It's about never giving up, about believing in yourself, even when the odds are stacked against you. From sleeping on the streets to becoming a beloved star, Liu reminds us all that with passion and perseverance, anything is possible. Call to action. What do you think of Liu Yuning's journey? Have you watched The Prisoner of Beauty yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to UpDateX24H for more behind-the-scenes stories of Chinese celebrities. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.